welcome back to the channel. I've got Paper Rose and Simon Says Stamp Timber stamp set. Now it has gone past, but we got it late and then I was away right when it arrived, so I didn't get time to have a play. But saying that, this time, because it didn't happen, now you get a video with it. So I'm placing that in the middle. I'm going to use some Gina K masking strips. So you can cut this, you don't need the Gina K, but it does make it really, really handy just to pull off a strip and not have to stress about it. So is it necessity? No. Is it good and handy? Yes. So I'm going to place this roughly in the middle of my design. There's two packs. I think there's, sorry, two sizes. I think there is 3 in one side, 3 sheets of one size and 3 sheets of another size. And I'm just using, probably it's about 1/2 inch wide strip. We'll just make sure that's adhered down properly. I've got some Distress Inks, the antique linen, because I'm going to do a little bit of no line colouring. I haven't done this for ages, and even more so, I haven't done watercolour colouring for ages. I'm going to use a just a tissue just to try and make sure that's all flat for one, and also that I don't smudge it, so I'm dabbing it down. These are the Tim Holtz Distress crayons. Honestly, this is really the first time I've ever really used them properly. I did use them for something else once before, in a class that I taught at Little Bits here in Keysborough, Melbourne, but this was the first time really I'm playing with it. So to colour it down, it was really, really soft. So I'm just going to do, I tried to scrub some off on, what was it, a piece of acetate or something? That didn't work. And basically this is me playing with it. This is the first time I've really sort of dragged them out and trying to get a feel for it. So I'm pretty much, and also my watercolouring is really, really rusty. I haven't done it for so long. But it was very therapeutic. It did take me quite a while, but in my defense, I have just had family here who left this morning, and so I had a lot of work on last week. Things did not go to plan, which we'll talk about that. And so this is the first time it's finally getting done. So I'm trying to layer up my colouring. I'm trying not to do things side by side unless they are meant to be attached. But spoiler alert, I'm going to get carried away and I'm going to do it anyway. But it's really dry. I don't really like this watercolour. Now, I don't know what it is. I did get a great big sheet from my local craft shop, and I have a funny feeling it's that. It's really quite smooth, but it dries super quick. So we're going to use it up, basically. I am using I've got a couple of different colours of green here. I've got the Rustic Wilderness, which is this one here. And then I'm going to use the Peel Paint for a slightly different colour, because I got carried away and I went, you really need to add some different colours, different greens in that. But that's this peeled paint that you can also see in my hand there. So it's going to be a combination. I am using the darkest colour and putting that where it's going to be darkest. So when it's going to be underneath something, like 2 leaves on top of each other, or some petals are on top of each other. Being watercolour paint, no line colouring, I should say, it isn't easy. So you are going to see me reference the packaging quite regularly, and you can see it there off to the left, and a couple of times later on when I'm getting into some of the daisies and the roses, you're actually going to see me put it over the top of it. I am all done. There is these twig branches here. I'm just trying to do it with a really light hand. I am using a number 6 brush, which isn't the thinnest, but I heard people sort of talk about going a thicker brush than you think you need, especially for the thin lines and everything else. So I'm giving that a try because, you know, I'm not perfect. None of us are. And I like to sort of bring you along because, you know, I'm not some like whiz bang amazing person with this. So you get to see warts and all, and you get to see me sort of learning as we go. I've got mustard seed here and also rusty hinge. I'm using rusty hinge just with the darkest points where things are underneath it. I am going to let those dry and then I'll come back with a second layer. Now that does vary on what's happening and how I feel about how the flower is developing. I do actually use at one point, I try a tiny little bit of the villainous potion. I haven't written it down because it was, you're going to see it, but it's not very much. It was all right, but I like the brown. I like the rusty hinge, I should say. So it's going to be a matter of trying to drop in the brown, especially with the ones that are behind. Try and drop in the brown just to push that back. With the petals like the one I've got there, the rusty hinge is going to be up behind the, sort of making the leaves, the petals in the front pop out a little bit. So it looks like it's casting a shadow. That's the aim of it. I will go through later on once it's dry and put some little bit of details, and that's a very fine layer of the rusty hinge down the middle. At this point, I'm pretty much really probably fussing too much. Let's be honest, I'm fussing too much with this. But as I said, I haven't coloured with watercolour for a very long time, and colouring with Copics is very different. This is the villainous potion, which I didn't really like very much. So the center of the highlights are going to be a mixed thing of the walnut brown to the one to the right. This has got rusty hinge and with tiny little bit of black just around the edges. And then I'm going through and dotted this with the walnut stain, just so I can show you what I'm doing with one petal, one center, and then what I'm going to do when that dries. But you will see both of those. So I'm just trying to make sure that what is behind stays behind. This is a seedless preserve, and we're working again, putting our color down in the dark where it would be darkest and trying to move that out and just making them pop out and have that little bit of a lighter on the petal. Let's get into what's been happening. So there's been lots happening with carpet, finding leaks because of the carpet, problems with people arriving and deciding, no, we're doing this room and this room. No, that's not what's on the contract. I haven't emptied that room and that room. You meant to be doing this room. You know, things like that. Pulling up the carpet, finding a leak in the bathroom. So the bathrooms need to be re-grouted. Did you know, fun fact, not really, but you know, did you know that grout is not 100% waterproof? I'm like, are you serious? He's like, no, it's not 100%. It will eventually seep through. I'm like, oh, my mind is blown. With this, let's get back to this. With this part, there is lots and lot of leaves underneath other petals. I'm not stressing about it too much. We've got a lot of depth, a lot of shadows, a lot of other bits and pieces in the rest of the card. I'm not stressing about that whatsoever. I'm just trying to make sure that it shows that it's behind, and those petals in the front that's half masked off is going to be in the foreground. This is completely the wrong color. Completely the wrong color. So we're trying to dab off that with a little bit of water and then just some paper towel. So everything was going okay. Things happen. Yep, got the gutters cleaned, everything else. I walked out one morning when my husband just went to Brisbane, I think he was. He flew to Brisbane, and I could hear this drip, drip, drip. I'm like, that's not good. Thinking it was just going to be a cracked, hitting the inside of, we call it gyprock, plasterboard, gyprock, the stuff that's on the inside of the walls in the garage. It's on the roof. And I thought that would just be the rain, our broken tile, and it's dripping on the inside of that plasterboard. Yeah, no. There was a great big whopping wet patch. We had a lot of rain. There was a lot of rain the night before. Great big wet patch that was actually had a line of drips hitting the concrete floor. So it was a matter of, what do I do? I have to go to work. Do I have to cancel work this afternoon? Like I need a phone number for the insurance people. My husband's gone away. What do I do? Basically. So it's a little bit overwhelming. Yes, to say the least. So I went to work, and the ladies there were like, "Hi, how you going?" I'm like, "Not good, but don't talk to me." Like, it's not a terrible thing. It's not massive, shocker of a thing. But it was a little bit overwhelming. On top of that, I had a automatic phone call, saying that my telecom people here in Australia, we have lots of different little ones, but they mainly use one of these two networks. And it was going to be down. I'm like, yay, just good. So, yeah, I ended up coming home and getting my 17-year-old to punch a hole in the wall, in the roof, so it wouldn't collapse on any cars or anything like that. But, what do you do? Let's go back. So I've removed the masking paper. I've just drawn a line, and I just sort of put it, I eyeballed it with the image. I tried to make sure that the image was very defined along that edge, so it was very clear to see. There is a couple of lines of the antique linen, but I wasn't too worried about that because these lines were pretty much going to mask all that. This sentiment is out of the same set. We've got thanks so much. Now I put it off. I should have dried it. I should have dried it a little bit more. I'm not perfect. Do what I say, don't do what I do, because, we get carried away. We get carried away in what we do, don't we? I put these off to the side a little bit because I thought about putting splatter over it, but I do that a lot. And so I'm going to put some little black, pearly, rhinestoney sort of things, a couple on the top and a couple on the bottom. And I thought it would just be visually pleasing to have this curved going diagonally across the card. That was my theory behind it. And I thought it was just a little bit different and a little bit fun. I've got Uniquely Creative's black rhinestones here. I've got 2 packs because, as you can see there, that one doesn't have a lot of little ones in it. There is a reason behind that, because I do like that. I like a lot of the little ones rather than the big ones. So currently there is a hole in my garage roof. We've not arguing, but we each have an opinion on where it's coming from. My husband thinks it's from one place. I say, no, the water was coming down that. I'm not saying it's not traveling to that spot and then coming down inside the roof and hitting the beam and falling, but it's meant to rain tomorrow. So we will see who's right. We're not arguing. We're just, I think it's this. No, I think it's this. So, that's what we do. I've raised that panel up. This is just a little bit of Stampin' Up's, what was it called? Blackberry Bliss or Raspberry Bliss or something like that. I just sort of went really nicely with the roses. So we've mounted him up. We're going to stick him down. This is a top folding. I know it's a top folding card for me. I don't normally do those, but it's a top folding card. And that is it. That is it for my card today. I hope you're well. Follow, like, and subscribe. We will be greatly honored, and I'll talk to you soon.